Gun Sports for like Power Rankings, brought to you by SoFi. Get your money right. Freddie C, we've had a fast and furious start to NBA free agency over the last 48 hours. Hard to hit all of the moves, but I did America a favor by filtering out the best of the best, the top 5 new faces, well, old faces in new places. So that's what we got. Candy Power Rankings this week. Top 5 NBA faces in new places. Now, we got to keep in mind that I don't have any rookies on this list, all right? So it's all veteran players when it comes to my power rankings this week. Top 5 NBA faces in new places. Pat Costello, if you will.
Number 5.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's with the Atlanta Hawks. Alexander Walker gives Atlanta a playmaking wing who can knock down three-pointers and provide another elite perimeter defender. This puts Atlanta in position to make a big leap in the East. He pairs nicely with Dyson Daniels and can give Quinn Snyder more optionality with his lineups. Another player that can initiate offense. They can potentially play Trae Young off the ball more. And that's a good thing for Trae Young in terms of being able to free him up to do what he does best, which is score the basketball. Atlanta is trying to corner the market with dominant on-ball defenders with position versatility. Jalen Johnson, Zachary Richichet, Dyson Daniels, all guys 6'8" or above. And then, of course, the aforementioned Nickeil Alexander-Walker. All of those guys can defend 1 through 4. And with the Kristaps Porzingis trade, they add another rim protector to go along with the bigs that they already have. It sounds a lot like what we saw from OKC in terms of what Atlanta is building defensively. Freddie C?
I hear you. I just worry about the injury issue with Kristaps Porzingis because whatever was ailing him last year was really debilitating in that series versus the New York Knicks. But you're right. They got those long wing defenders that can cause a lot of problems. And if Quinn Snyder can put this together as a coach, because Trae Young has no more excuses, they put that kind of team around him that should be the kind of team he should be expecting that could have a deep run in Eastern Conference playoffs next year.
Well, think about it. They still got Onyeka Okongwu, and they drafted Asa Newell in the first round this year, too. So they're hedging a little bit with the Kristaps Porzingis bit, but from all reports is that he's going to be healthy. He's playing Euro ball this summer. So I think you'll get a different version of KP than what we saw or didn't see in the playoffs in Boston last year. Next.
Number 4.
We have Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic. Bane addresses a major need for the Magic, who were desperate for shooting. They finished last in three-point field goal percentage and last in catch-and-shoot three-point percentage. Bane is 50, 40, 90, and a solid defender. He's one of 3 NBA players with 800 made three-pointers on 40% three-point shooting since entering the league in 2020. And he has shot 43.2% on catch-and-shoot threes in the past 5 years, which is the 3rd best rate among players with at least 1,000 attempts. Bane, who turns 27 next week, fits the timetable of Orlando's core of Banchero, Jalen Suggs, and Franz Wagner. All of those guys are in their early 20s, and that's better in terms of the fit and the age timeline. It's better than anybody else Orlando could have gone after to fit that particular need. This is an organization that sees an opportunity in the East with all of the injuries to the top teams, and they're going for it. Freddie C, your thoughts?
Yeah, I love what you said about Desmond Bane because he fits what they did not have, that shooter that can knock down shots and a guy who can also defend at the other end. If Jalen Suggs can stay healthy, he can be that terrific point guard. They'll be able to get into the teeth of the defense and find him on the relocation on the three-point line, but also keep an eye on Jace Richardson. I love that draft choice they got out of Michigan State. That can be that combo guard as well. They can go 3 guards at times. But Desmond Bane, the way he can do it at both ends of the floor, yeah, I like that piece the Orlando Magic were able to pick up to make them more of a player in the Eastern Conference.
Next.
Number 3.
Cam Johnson to the Denver Nuggets.
Look out now.
Listen, this is a massive move for the Denver Nuggets front office. Huge when it comes to roster building. Michael Porter Jr. was owed $78 million over the next 2 seasons, and Johnson is due $44 million in that same time frame. For $17 million less per season, Johnson is a similar on-court fit to Michael Porter Jr. and a much better defender. The move takes the Nuggets away from the second apron and now gives them a lot of breathing room for fleshing out what was a top-heavy roster over the last 2 seasons. Remember, Jokic was critical about the team's depth or lack thereof.
Yep.
This trade allowed for the subsequent moves of adding Jonas Valanciunas, Tim Hardaway Jr., and bringing back Bruce Brown. The 2032 first-round pick that's going back to Brooklyn will likely sting in the post-Jokic era in Denver, but that's a tomorrow problem.
Yep.
I love Cam Johnson fitting in as one of the starters for the Denver Nuggets.
His best ability is availability, which is something you could not say about Michael Porter Jr. either when he was on the court or being injured off the basketball court. This looks very similar to the Nuggets team that won the NBA championship, where you got guys that can defend. You got a Christian Brown together with Cameron Johnson. They're going to play for each other extremely well. You're right about Valanciunas. That's an underrated pickup signed by the Nuggets. But now you got a backup center who's had playoff experience and can really anchor your front line when Jokic is on the bench. But yeah, Cameron Johnson being available, that's the best ability that they did not see a lot in the last couple of years from Michael Porter.
These are the Candy Power Rankings, top 5 NBA faces in new places. Cam, can we get the number 2?
Number 2.
Myles Turner. Milwaukee Bucks. Myles Turner is one of the best 3-and-D bigs in the NBA. Turner shot 39.6% from 3 last season, totaling 156 makes from deep to go along with 144 blocks. Wasn't great in the postseason, only hit 13 of his last 50 from 3, but he basically slots into that role that Brook Lopez occupied. And if we're keeping it a buck, he's an upgrade over what Lopez has been over the past couple of seasons. But this move is all about convincing Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. The move makes that a more viable option to compete now and into the future. They brought back Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis, Kevin Porter Jr., and Gary Trent Jr. Not hard to imagine this team being top 6 in the East and going on a deep playoff run.
And you weaken a rival in the Indiana Pacers by taking away their guy, because now how's Indiana going to play, not just without Tyrese Halliburton, but also a Myles Turner, who's the longest tenured player with the Indiana Pacers. Guys like that, even though he may not be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he was the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the Pacers, that's going to be very hard to replace in the way that they play, the way they want to get up and down the court. So, yeah, it's a great move for Milwaukee, but it's an awful move for the Indiana Pacers, losing him for that kind of scratch that he's going to get paid by the Milwaukee Bucks over 4 years.
Well, here's the thing. If you're the Pacers, do you want to go on a luxury tax for the first time in the last 20 years with a team that can't win because of the Halliburton injury?
Yeah, that's fair.
Answer is probably not.
Nope.
Which makes it make sense to let the door open for Myles Turner to walk. I think it's a good move for both sides, oddly enough. Good people on both sides when it comes to the Myles Turner to the Milwaukee Bucks transaction. Next.
Number 1.
Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets.
Absolutely.
Houston, we have liftoff. Durant is exactly what Houston needs. The Rockets ranked 24th in effective field goal percentage and 27th in points per direct isolation. Put simply, they needed shooting and they needed a closer. And they added a 2-time champion that is the best bucket getter over the last 2 decades in the NBA. According to ESPN Bet, Houston has the second shortest odds behind OKC to win